I grew up in the best place to grow up, you know, the east side of Columbus, Ohio. My dad was a Bell System employee, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. We lived next to a railroad track, and you go down the railroad track to a trestle and a river, and that was the wilderness for me. And I remember growing up and always moving down those tracks and getting to the river and throwing rocks in the river and watching the muskrats swim and the raccoon tracks, and all those types of things turned me into a trapper. Kind of brings a tear to my eye here. This is where my outdoor career began. My very first muskrat I caught right over here on this side of the trestle. My very first raccoon around the corner, 11 years old. I mean, this was the woods to me. This is where I would come to get away. This was the wilderness. And it looks so different now. You know, I graduated from high school 30 years ago, which is hard to believe. And this was even before I was in junior high. Boy, it brings back a lot of memories here of my early days hunting and trapping in central Ohio. Small island woodlots surrounded by agriculture. And big bucks live here. I mean, look at this. We've got a little rub on this tree along a main used trail that leads out of that winter wheat down through this small woodlot to a cornfield beyond, to a bean field beyond, to another woodlot. You better have your bow in your hand during the rut, because bucks that are trolling are actively looking for does, and they're not spending a lot of time in any one spot. That being said, they're probably going to be seen and gone within 20 or 30 seconds. And that's not going to give you a lot of time to make the decision whether he's a big enough buck to shoot, whether he's going to be in the right place in your stand set or not. So there's just so many things that go on in your head when you're buck hunting, especially during rut, especially when deer are moving in and out. You know, one of the coolest things you can have is one of these headlamps, because it leaves your hands free. And this particular model has different lights on it. I like using this red light to get in to the stand in the mornings, because it really isn't like a bright white light that flashes all around the woods and maybe can alert deer. But we've got some trail tack markers here to follow. It's about 400 yards into the stand. We'll go in there and get set up before it gets daylight.
What seems to make the state of Ohio so good is, number one, we're pretty much an archery state. Our shotgun season isn't until after the rut's pretty much trickled down, and one deer, one buck per person. You know, that's all we're allowed is one buck, even as a resident.
One of the most tricky things about bow hunting during the rut is being in that exact right place at that exact right time. A lot of times you're in a good tree stand setup, but the buck isn't in range. He's coming by, but he's not in range. And if you're going to be successful in the rut on whitetail bucks, you got to learn how to get them into range. There's no better time to hunt bucks in the rut. More big bucks are on their feet, moving through the woods, giving you more opportunities to see bigger deer. In the central Ohio area, all the Midwest, you have the opportunity to shoot a giant. The more prepared you are, the more actively you're watching the trails, the more actively you're taking part in the hunt by grunting and rattling and looking, the better your chances of putting a big buck on the ground during rut. Big Ohio whitetail. Yes! What a phenomenal hunt. What a phenomenal morning. I spent 6 days in this same tree stand last year. It rains every day. I never do see a shooter buck. And I'll tell you what, this NOLA woods, I didn't have any luck in it last year, but this year there's big bucks trolling it. And that is what rut hunting is all about. This tree is a perfect spot to kill a big buck because it's at the head of this draw, and that's edge. And right over here, the bedding thicket. It is thicker than thick in there, but that's perfect. We're right on the edge of it. We've got a perfect wind for it.
big bucks will take their does into these big thickets like this, and that's where they tend them. That's where they hole up. We can rattle and grunt right here on the edge. We can suck them out of there. And right here is where the buck was standing when I shot him. The doe was down in there, but he hooked around on this trail. But he spotted me up in that tree. A little bit skyline there when you get close because of the hills and the angles, and all the leaves pretty much have blown off. But look at the carnage. There's no doubt that we're in the boiler room, and it's almost unbelievable because every jump there is a big splash all the way through the woods. He's 100 yards because I saw him go down. What an incredible hunt. Let's go see him. Yes! Look at this. Look at this full rut Ohio whitetail buck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on one side, 8, 9, 10, 11. Broke off brow tine, little kicker here. Look at that buck. What a fantastic hunt. Hey, Joel.
God, Tom, congratulations, man.
Oh, man.
Congratulations.
Look at that.
Gosh. What do you think about, how was the spot this morning? Was it on?
It was on. It was
This
beautiful.
is, we just kind of come up here at the top of this draw. We've already killed one 200-incher up in this draw. This is actually the 5th big one that's come out of this tree in about the past 4 years. So it's a killing tree. We were just waiting for that cold weather, and it's on. I tell you what, this Logan County here in Ohio, when the rut's rocking, they don't just get any bigger, do they?
This is a 150, I think.
For sure, nice, I think so. We got a little bit broken. He's been rubbing. And
yep. But old Trappist,
yeah,
you know where the hot
so
spots
you know
are.
where the hot spots are. If you can pick a trapping location, you can pick a stand location.
That's right.